It is 12:59. Good afternoon from the Superbook.com sports desk. I'm Lucas Panzica. Titans getting back out on the practice field today at St. Thomas Sports Park in preparation for the AFC South opener Sunday at the Indianapolis Colts. Former first-round pick and second-year rookie Caleb Farley met with the media in the locker room before practice today after playing just one defensive snap in the win over Vegas on Sunday, talking about his confidence level moving forward.
I'm confident. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go practice today. I'm enjoying football, loving football. Really now I'm just waiting for the opportunity to come by again.
That courtesy of Jim Wyatt of TennesseeTitans.com. Some news around the league. Adam Schefter saying that Jets head coach Robert Saleh announced today that doctors have cleared quarterback Zach Wilson, and barring any setbacks, he should get the start his season debut Sunday when the Jets take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Dude. Blaney Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. What's up? It is straight up 1 o'clock. It is straight up Wednesday. The last time I checked, we're going to be with you for 2 hours.
But what
today,
is Wednesday, Mickey?
It's hump day. It's the nexus of the sports talk universe. We're halfway. Well, we're not halfway through the halfway point of the week. Although technically it's afternoon. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, technically people are at the halfway point of the halfway point of the week.
We're halfway through the week. That's all I know, and I'm here with the mixter.
When did you like turn it on for the next week? Because like Vrabel, they win a game, he's always like, "I'll see you Wednesday, yeah, woo, yeah."
Oh yeah. That's because then that means no injury, you don't have to show up on Monday. Who was the ding dong that was there on Monday?
You
every time.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I'm still. The routine is set. I'm getting a jump on the film. I'm getting a jump on my body rehab. Your body is a rehab. It's a temple. That's how you get paid. You better take of it all the way to the nails. Getting your toenails done all the way. Yeah, no question.
Michael Jordan used to say that. He got manicures and pedicures. I remember that.
As a young player, watch what they do. Hot tub, cold tub, deep tissue massage, acupuncture, you name it, cupping. It didn't stop. It's just a routine. You got to go, even if it's a shorter window, because now you don't have practice. I'm still going over doing the things I normally do on Monday. So that was for me. So, flipping a switch started usually on Tuesday, which is the day off. So I'd start watching film then of the new opponent. Start gathering how I wanted to go about my approach. So when I wasn't there, I was still thinking about how I was going to, come with my notes on who was the OC this week. Were they there last year? Who did they play that I'm familiar with? So go back and look through my notepad, the notes I took on wherever they were. If they're the same, is it the same team that we played last year? You kind of go back through and see if he's made any adjustments based off what you've seen. Because now, during this time, 3 weeks in is right when it starts hitting. This is who they are as far as the new season. So you get a good data. I'm really comfortable now where I'm at and what I'm seeing on tape as a safety and making calls and everything. Hey, yeah, I'm flying. I'm in the game. It's over. Yeah, I mean, so So really, when you start getting hyped for the week, a lot of people said I would kind of rev up Thursday and Friday, but what it really was my focus and attention to the details, not just to the broad approach, but to the details of what I needed to do to be successful in this game, to execute what was my job for every play. And see how many times, the challenge of really seeing how many times that I could do it more times than they did. That was really, because in reality, I always wanted to play a perfect game. Came really close numerous times, but that was impossible. It was really impossible. But I wanted to strive for perfection, knowing in reality that could never happen. But I wanted to see how close I could get to that. And so that was kind of in the backdrop, wanting to see if I could be just the best. I always talk about this, the best version of me of what I was given. Not try to be somebody else or what somebody else did. Just believe in what I can do and play with confidence and fast and flow within the scheme of the offense or defense. Really, that was really the goal. The goal was never to make any Pro Bowls. No, I was never a guy who set goals for Pro Bowls, All State, All City, all the things that I made. That was never a goal. It was to be the best I could be. That's it. And then if that led to some honors, great. If it didn't, great. I know I still gave the same effort every week. And when you turn on that tape, there was not going to be somebody running around like I was. That was going to be clear as day. This dude is different.
But you're studying, though, and knowing keys and what to look for. That had to have given you all this freedom mentally. Like, holy crap, I know exactly what's going to happen. I can run right over there and get this.
Yeah, it did. Woo. And then, sometimes I have to hold back because, I had to still have responsibility. And so I would, as soon as the ball snapped, and that's why I was talking about playing freely, because then you play faster.
Yep.
And that's really hard because for me personally, I wasn't a really instinctive player, and I didn't let it hold me back. Some guys don't, and for whatever reason, where they got a chink in the armor and they don't believe what they see, sometimes overcoaching. There's a lot of factors that go into that. You don't want to mess up, so you get to the point where you can just play freely like that. Oh man, it's a beautiful thing to see, and that's what I see when I watch Bayard. I see him playing freely. So that's what I was, was it 2 or 3 years ago when he didn't have as good of a year. I was saying he was pressing, trying to make plays. I've been there. All these experiences I've had when I'm talking about, what I'm seeing is really through what I was taught throughout, my career, whether good or bad. And so there were times where I would press and try to make plays because we weren't as good as a unit. So you had to learn to sit back and relax. Or as Coach Mack was talking about, Bayard didn't have all his pieces. He finally had all his pieces there, so then he could play a little looser. Where sometimes when you're not and you're playing with some guys who just got there or been there a week or 2 weeks or what have you, now you're trying to make sure they're doing their responsibilities and you're on the same page communicating, and then you do your job. So, the safety's more than just doing your job. So those always factor in because sometimes that can slow you as a player. So, but, hey, man, it seems like the last 2 years it's Russian roulette with players here with injuries. I mean, we may not have Dupree or Oladipo. We may not have those guys again.
Yeah,
I mean, this is, oh, man.
Video from Bud, I think, basically saying, Bud Dupree, like, hey, I'm going to keep trying to get ready, but I'm day to day, I think is essentially what
I'm going to keep trying to get ready. Well, that'll make me feel good. That means he's not ready. So, yeah, you can put that up to the mic. Yeah, so that would. So,
play it day by day.
Yeah.
That's what he said.
Well, Mario Edwards. And
come on down.
Yeah, I don't know what that means with Autry. If he stays outside, he moves inside. I would assume that he stays outside most of the time because Edwards is a bigger guy. I think he's 280 or something like that.
6'3", 280, I believe is what he's listed at yesterday.
Yeah. This is an interesting matchup with the Colts, though. When I go back and I watch them, it's about, and this is why we beat the Raiders. We were more physical than them. And the Colts, to me, should have lost the Chiefs game. They basically missed 2 field goals. One was a fake at 42. The other one was a botch. They missed it. They got in the red zone and turned it over. They had multiple chances, the Chiefs, to win that game.
And an extra point.
And an extra point. Right. See, so I thought the Colts, they don't impress me. Now, their defense does. Their defense is flying around even without the linebacker Leonard.
Yeah.
They are
Leonard.
Boy, they are keeping them in games. But their offense, I haven't seen even Taylor, they've gotten behind, so his effectiveness not has been as much. He's had some his stats look, okay compared to his carries. If you got like 10 carries, you got 60 yards. I mean, still not bad. But at the end of the day, he didn't get 100. So I think their offense is coming slowly but surely. So I'm hoping it doesn't explode against the Titans. So 2 good defenses. You hope anyway. The Titans. This is going to be a physical matchup. Man. You know how I can't stand the Colts, boy. This is we got to take them down. This means double. This is 2-time in the division. This counts as 2, and this is very important. Very important to get this one.
The fact that the Colts have a different quarterback every year is one of the more fascinating storylines that I remember.
It's crazy.
Every year it's a different guy.
Because we got Rivers, Wentz, and now
Ryan. Before that, Brissett.
oh, wow.
It's just
Luck.
Andrew Luck until he just didn't want to do it anymore.
You got tired of getting beat up.
Yeah. Oh, he got beat up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you take a long look at yourself knowing you wasted that guy's career. Like, yeah, we didn't, then we went and drafted him a bunch of linemen, but he was gone by then. So,
yeah, this is, man, I don't know what to make of him really at this point in time. And he's had some weapons missing too.
Yep.
I think he got the Pierce, the kid from Cincinnati back, but I think Pittman was out. So there was a couple, one of the games he had both his receivers out. So the tight ends became the focal point. And they look pretty good.
They always have a couple tight ends. Dajani, Woods.
Yeah, the Woods kid. He's like tall, like he's athletic. Man, I wouldn't want to be on a matchup with him, man. That's like, me trying to get a rebound from Mutombo. So, man, they got some big, long, athletic guys. So this is critical. I think you know each other so well. It's gonna be one of those low scoring unless somebody opens up the lid and gets behind and then it starts opening up the game. But this one here, this is gonna be old school, run downhill. And the offensive line is one of the highest, if not the highest paid offensive line. They haven't played up to that.
They have not.
I have not seen
Ryan
that. I did not see that. Remember, I told y'all the Jaguars just destroyed them. Their front four destroyed their offensive line. And as I said then 2 weeks ago, the Jaguars for real. Now I think people are starting to take notice this week. Yeah, after they beat the Chargers. And guess what they did to the Chargers O-line? Beat the crap out of them, and then we got Herbert, who was already half injured. So, yeah, this is going to be close.
Jonathan Taylor seems like one of those guys, too, like Saquon, where he can catch a couple of balls and run long on you, and he can get going and get the hot hand running, and all of a sudden he's gashing you, and here's 11 yards, and here's 7 yards, and here's 8 yards. And Josh Jacobs had been sick, and one of the things I went back and saw some of what the Raiders beat writers and some of the story from him was he had told them, I can't play the whole game. Just I'll play as much as I can. If it's a long drive, I probably can't stay in for the whole drive. But, like, that's another one of those dudes. He can turn a 3-yard pass into 30 yards real fast. Well, so can Taylor. The rush defense has got to gel at some point.
Man, that's what I said. Watch this. Do what you do. Stats. Stat to stat. Whose defense is better?
Oh, the Colts defense.
Yeah. Stat to stat. Whose offense better? It's a coin toss.
Coin toss, but the Colts would have to have more rush yards just because even though he hasn't had a lot of opportunities, I think Taylor's still like third in the NFL.
Yeah,
right?
He just had a huge game in week one.
Week one, yeah.
Right. So we look at the stats. The stats say the Colts are the better team.
Mm-hmm.
But then I think we got to account for their
even
kicking.
the record says they're better by
their kicking game.
By a tie, yeah.
So, man, this one here, man.
Their place, sleep in their bed. You get 3 points for that. That's what Vegas says.
This one here, man. They got to get after Matty Ice. People keep talking bad about Matty Ice, but when he has time, he will carve you up. And we haven't been getting pressure with our front four. Not consistently.
He also hasn't had time this year.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So, we got to get pressure on him. If not,
12 sacks.
He's going to look great against us.
Oh, sure.
He got sacked 6 times on the Jaguars game that I watched.
How many times did you get hit other than that, too?
11.
All day. Okay, 11.
11 that game. 11 or 12. I was counting. I watched that game because we played Monday night versus the Bills. So I said, I'm watching the Jaguars Colts. Shoo. I walked out of there like, whoa, Jaguars look scary.
Well, they always draft pass rush. Always, always, always find those guys.
So we got this one here. We could talk about all the other. This one here is a must win for both teams. I can't wait till we talk to Bremer.
Well,
Bremer who covers the Colts.
That's coming up next. George Bremer covers the Colts right there in Indiana for the Herald Bulletin newspaper. Let's just continue this discussion right on the other side. George Bremer, Colts beat writer, next on Blaine and Mickey.
Give us some good news.
Blaine and Mickey, the great Nile Rodgers and Daft Punk. Man, ooh, that was some magic on this track.
You knew who that was, Lucas?
I knew this is Daft Punk, but I cannot say I know any of the Daft Punk guys' names.
Okay, he's not Daft Punk. He is Nile Rodgers. All right, turn us. I know we got George. We'll get to George in just 1 second. Listen to the guitar playing.
Yeah, that's Mickey.
Okay.
Oh, they sampled that from Nile Rodgers.
Do you know what that is?
No.
Chic. He was guitar player for Chic. Freak out. That really percussive guitar playing. That's Nile Rodgers. He produced for everybody. David Bowie, Duran Duran. Nile Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. George Bremer is a Hall of Famer, I'm sure.
Always
when it comes
learn something with you, Mick.
Covering the Colts. George, are you a big Daft Punk or Chic fan, or what kind of music do you like?
I grew up in the late 80s, early 90s. I've always been a Pearl Jam guy, so I appreciate guitars, no doubt about that.
All right, big Pearl Jam. They're back on tour. I mean, have you seen this tour? I've had a bunch of people tell me that it's changing their lives to see Pearl Jam. Yeah, they were just in Nashville.
Yeah, I saw them.
Yeah, they don't come to Indy anymore. I don't know. Maybe I did something wrong.
No, they were out at the one place out there by past Fishers. What's that place in Anderson? It used to be called The Roof when I was growing up, or when I was at Ball State. But what's it called now? Something else.
I think it's Ruoff now. But,
yeah, Ruoff.
Deer Creek it's always going to be Deer Creek to me.
That's what it was. And actually, I worked there as a security guard there at Deer Creek.
What?
Well, yeah, I did. You'll find out more things about me as I recall. Yeah, that was the year I worked 3 jobs. I was the poop remover from Muncie water distillery area. No, and then I moved furniture, and then when no moving office furniture, and then when on the weekends I would work at that time Deer Creek.
Well, don't get out of line there with the hitman, George. You may get busted.
I was really not secure. I was more like take the ticket guy.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was still security too. They combined to get my pay up there.
All right.
Hourly.
George Bremer, our guest. So the Colts beat the Chiefs, and a lot of people were just talking about essentially what the Chiefs didn't do to win the game, but what did the Colts do to win the game? It sure looked a whole like to me.
They got lucky.
They got a quarterback who went and closed it out for them, right? It's the quarterback. He closed it out.
Yeah, Sky Moore dropped that punt.
They definitely got some breaks, and I think they knew they were going to need that going in. They got quite a few breaks, actually. Defense played probably the best game they played not probably. The defense played definitely the best game they've played of the year. And then, Matt Ryan came through in the clutch, which I think is one of the big reasons that they wanted to bring him here. Offense is struggling right now. I don't think that's a secret to anybody. Lowest scoring team right now in the NFL. A lot of it has to do with pass protection. They were able to kind of shore that up on the final drive when they really had to have it, but I think that's something that coming into this week they're going to spend a lot of time working on.
George Bremer, our guest, traversing the streets of Indy, it sounds like, as he visits with Blaine and Mickey here.
Yeah, and old Deer Creek. Well, you brought it up. Carson Wentz is no longer there, but if you want to compare him and Matty Ice, what are the differences? I know it's only 3 games, but I mean, are we seeing anything different, or is it pretty much the same offense, just with someone different at the controls?
It's really hard to really evaluate much on the offense right now because the line play has been so inconsistent. They've got 12 sacks through 3 games, which is absolutely unacceptable. They're on pace for 68. You start getting thrown around with David Carr's name. You know that you're not having a very good year in pass protection. I think they've got to clean that up, and until they do, it's really hard to tell. So far, it's been a lot of underneath stuff, but is that by design or is it what they're being forced into doing? Everybody's been kind of stacking that box against Jonathan Taylor, as you would expect. He only had 3 yards per carry on Sunday, which is way below what you normally see from him. So I think it's really hard to draw a lot of conclusions from this offense until the line starts being more consistent and giving them some more time to make some things happen.
We went with George Bremer, Indianapolis Colts beat writer. Man, let's go into that a little bit. So their identity, they really wanted to be, is run the football. But if your offensive line is not doing a good job running the football, our pass protection, some of it was free rushers too, by the way, going back watching it. I mean, when are the offensive line is the highest paid group in the NFL, isn't it? Or somewhere up there.
Yeah, I think it is the highest paid offensive line in the NFL. You've got two guys that have been in multiple Pro Bowls, and Quentin Nelson and Ryan Kelly, and Braden Smith, who's been like right below that level. But they're just not coming together, as a unit. Ryan Kelly's been talking about a lot this year. Sometimes they're playing 4 as one. Sometimes it's 3 as one. They can't get all 5 guys together on the same page. And then it's, in pass protection, it's everybody else, too. It's the wide receivers. It's the running backs. It's the tight ends. It's the quarterback. They're just not on the same page right now. A lot of communication issues. And as you guys know full well, in this league, you make an error and you will pay for it usually very quickly and very painfully.
Well, you mentioned the wide receivers. I know he's had to have, he hasn't had all of his weapons. He's slowly getting some of them back. Who's available this week, you think?
Coming out of the game, they seem pretty healthy. We'll see. Today's the first day of practice, so we'll see what the injury report looks like a little bit later today. But they got Alec Pierce back last week, and he really had his best game as a pro. A couple really big catches, one down the sideline, I think is what they brought him in here for, that kind of 50-50 ball coming out of their own end zone. Michael Pittman's been a beast. He missed the second game as well with a quad injury, came back, looked fine. He's been their number one guy, and I don't think that's even been close. And then they had a rookie tight end, and Jelani Woods step up. He had the game-winning touchdown catch, had a touchdown earlier in the game as well. I know Matt Ryan, through his career there in Atlanta, he's done a lot of work with the tight ends. I think seeing Jelani Woods kind of step forward as a red zone threat is something that could be good for this team. But that's another area that, again, it's hard to really look at those receivers and know that there's been times where they've been open, but there's not time to give them the ball. It's really hard right now to evaluate where they're at.
We're on with George Bremer, Indianapolis Colts beat writer.
George, what's going on with Shaq Leonard these days? Because everything I read, has he been practicing? And there were maybe some quotes like, well, we know what he's capable of, and he just doesn't look like he's capable of that kind of play yet. That's kind of what I got out of it. What's going on?
Yeah, he's been practicing since week 1, really. I think he's only had one limited practice. Oh. He's been full in practice, so he's progressing. But he had a back surgery, and you don't want to mess with that, obviously. You don't want to bring anybody back too early from something like that. And I think they feel like right now his movement isn't where they want it to be. They've been watching tape from last year, comparing it to practice, and they want him – he's got to hit a certain benchmark before they feel confident in sending him out there on game day. He's in good spirits. He's been on the sideline. He was the number one cheerleader, I think, on Sunday. And it's one of those things that it could be this week. It could be 3 weeks from now. They didn't put him on injured reserve, or they didn't put him on PUP because they wanted to be able to activate him as soon as possible. But also a big part of this was being able to evaluate him in practice, watching that growth, being able to get him on the field. If you're on either of those lists, you can't practice. They didn't want that to happen. So it's hard to say, like, when he's going to be back. They just keep saying their stock answer is when he's ready. But, yeah, right now I think they're just waiting to see a little more strength from him and getting him back into that, like, physical movement where he was a year ago.
But, George, I want to ask something. Who's been replacing him, and have they been – obviously he must have been doing a pretty good job.
Yeah, Zaire Franklin has been playing – now, the other thing about Shaq is he's switching positions. He's going to be the middle linebacker this year. In Gus Bradley's scheme, I think they feel like that's the better fit. He's going to play that Bobby Wagner role when he gets out there. Zaire Franklin's been in that spot, just really a solid vet throughout his career. He's a guy that came up through special teams, kind of earned a role last year as a strong side linebacker, was a tackle machine at Syracuse, a big-time leader, has been a captain on this team now for 2 years. And he's particularly effective in the run game, just filling his gaps and coming down, easy for me to say, downhill very hard. I think he's done a really good job. But I think where they're missing Shaq right now is in those explosive plays. They only have, I think, 2 sacks, 3 sacks, something like that on the year, and they don't have any interceptions. I think they've had 1 or 2 fumble recoveries. They got an interception at the end of the game, sorry. They have 1 interception. And I think they have 1 or 2 fumble recoveries. But those big explosive plays, the takeaways, the sacks, they're not there right now, and that's something that he usually brings to this defense.
George Bremer, our guest. Is interesting, George, on the rushing side. Indy is number 3 on defense in the NFL versus the rush. And as far as rush yards per play, number 1. And there's a team that's about to get on an airplane, fly up there later this week, and all they want to do is run the football. I mean, this ought to be fun to watch, however it winds up working itself out. But you have a team that wants to run against a team that is doing a fantastic job stopping it.
Yeah, right now in that area, it seems like strength on strength. Grover Stewart has been a beast. I don't think he gets a lot of attention nationally, defensive tackle here for the Colts, but he's just been blowing up plays. You don't really think of a nose tackle as sort of that kind of guy, but Gus Bradley said in this scheme in particular, there's not really a lot of difference between what they ask of the nose tackle and what they ask of the 3 technique, and he's just been extremely disruptive, throwing guys out of his way, getting into the backfield, blowing up runs before they even get started. What I think is going to be interesting on Sunday is, for as big and as fast and as powerful as Derrick Henry is, I think he's so effective running outside the tackle as well. You think of a guy like that he's going to be a battering ram, but some of his biggest runs come outside. They get him out there and he runs over a cornerback and who's got no chance. I think it's going to be interesting. I think he's a completely different beast than any other run game the Colts face.
George Bremer, our guest at GM Bremer on Twitter, Herald Bulletin newspaper covering the Colts.
Well, George, you talked about corners. How has the transition with Stephon Gilmore helped the defense, or how has he looked? How is he playing to this point?
Like most of the rest of the defense, he had his best game on Sunday. He tipped the ball to get intercepted on the last play to kind of seal the win. He's been that veteran presence that they haven't really had the last couple of years. Just a guy who's kind of been a leader in that secondary. Like a lot of the guys follow his lead. They had a situation on Sunday where Julian Blackmon, their starting safety, went out with an ankle injury. They had to bring in Rodney Thomas, who's a 7th-round rookie from Yale, and he didn't miss a beat. And I think a lot of that is Gilmore, the way he communicates, the way he gets these guys ready during the week. He's almost like having another coach out there on the field, and I think he's been very, very influential in that regard.
Well, let's stay on the corner notes. I saw Buffalo brought in one of the former Colts there at the end, and that is Xavier Rhodes. How was he this last year there with the Colts?
Yeah, I think Xavier was another guy who was a big-time leader, but I think last year he was banged up physically, and you could just kind of see it. I don't think he was ever quite himself. His first year here, he was really a difference maker for this team, really almost not quite a shutdown corner, but right beneath that kind of level where he almost took away one side of the field. Last year, you could tell physically it wasn't there, and so he struggled because of that. He got beat a lot because of that. I would assume if Buffalo's brought him in, he's probably back in good shape, and I think when he's healthy, he's still a guy who can do a lot of good things for a defense.
I'm not going to ask you what he said. You probably don't know, but Chris Jones, I guess, got a penalty for his words to Matty Ice. How big was that in that game, as well as some of the other breaks that the Colts got?
That was huge. I mean, of all the breaks they got, that was the one that probably absolutely propelled this team to the win. I'm not sure what he said, obviously. Neither he or Matt Ryan really wanted to discuss it much, but I'm assuming it had to be pretty strong for a ref to throw a flag in that situation. It was the 5th sack of the game. The Colts were going to have to punt from their own territory. It kept that drive alive. You put them at their own 46, so they still had a long way to go. But obviously, if you're punting with 4 minutes to go back to Patrick Mahomes, you're probably not in a very good shape. As it is, they go down and score a touchdown. Mahomes gets it back with 24 seconds left. A little bit different situation than it was going to be before that flag.
Mm-hmm. Where is the, panic meter as far as the Colts right now? I know they had just a big win and everybody's excited, but if they lost to the Titans, what do you think Irsay is feeling at that point in time?
I think the temperature is still pretty high here. I mean, those first 2 weeks were not acceptable, in any way. I mean, you go down and fall behind the Texans by 17 points. Good rally there, obviously, miss a field goal and end up with a tie. And then you come out in Jacksonville and just lay an egg. And Jaguars, take nothing away from them. They look like a pretty good football team right now. But nobody wants to get shut out in the NFL any week. Go down there and offensively make nothing happen. I think there was a lot of pressure on this team coming into the Kansas City game. Some of it's relieved. But a lot of those woes on offense are still there, and I think no one's going to feel too calm and comfortable until they start seeing, the pass protection, the run game come back to life.
There you have it, George Bremer, Indianapolis Colts beat writer.
So, George, who do you think right now is the best team in the South?
Right now I'd have to go with the Jaguars just for what they've done on the field. I mean, they're the only team, I think, in the division with a win against another division foe. It was a dominant victory by Jacksonville down there. Then he went out to L.A. last week and put up 38 points on good Chargers defense. I know Justin Herbert was hurt, but that isn't going to stop what they were doing on the other side of the ball. But, it's early, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how they react now. It's been a long time since Jacksonville's kind of had a target on their back, been a team people are chasing. And it's always going to be interesting to see how young team kind of reacts to that kind of a situation. And I still think, Tennessee, to me, is still the team to beat until somebody beats them. They're 1-2, but this is their division opener. They're still the AFC South champs until somebody knocks them off that throne.
George Bremer, covering the Colts beat, joining us here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, I guess lastly, outside of the offensive line, well, let's go individual player. Who's been the most disappointing? Let's just do that, even with the offensive line.
Yeah, the offense as a whole could probably get to the board right now. Just because you don't go into the year thinking this is going to be a 32nd ranked scoring offense in the NFL, and when you're doing those things, the offensive line carries a lot of that blame, but nobody across the board is playing, at a really high level, or you wouldn't have these struggles. I think, they're looking for Matt Ryan to overcome a little bit more of this. That's one of the things that you bring in a veteran quarterback to do. We'll see if he's able to do that moving forward. He's been able to do it in the fourth quarter of these games. Even in the Jacksonville game, they moved the ball better in the fourth quarter than they did the rest of the game. But there's just some disconnect here in the first three quarters. They're putting themselves in these holes. On Sunday, the defense was able to keep it close enough they could bail out of it. But you're not going to be able to do that week in and week out. I think the offense as a whole needs to start showing that they can be the kind of unit that they're expected to be. Maybe not a top 5 offense in this league, but certainly I would think they want to be a top 10 offense with some of the guys that they have, and it's just not there right now.
Is Frank Reich taking any heat for that, being that he, is an offensive guy and quarterback and everything else, as well as Matty Ice? Is he running mostly the Colts offense, or is he having implementing things that he likes to do?
Yeah, they like to try to, each year that they've had this new quarterback, they like to try to take a lot from them and run some plays that they like, or at least emphasize some parts of the playbook that are more similar to them. But there's no doubt, Frank Reich's taking some heat. I think last week gave him a little bit of a breather. But anytime you're the head coach and it's your side of the ball that's really struggling, there's going to be, extra noise around you on that. I think he's a good head coach. I think he's done a really good job here. But the NFL is a results business, right? I mean, you are what your record says you are. You are what your numbers say you are. And right now, this offense simply isn't good enough.
George, always great catching up with you. Thanks for the time, people, for all the latest Colts news. You got podcasts and all sorts of stuff up on your Twitter. A bunch of fantastic information at GMBREMER with the Herald Bulletin newspaper. Thank you, sir, for the time today.
No problem, guys. Thanks a lot. Anytime.
Yes, sir. Blaine's Ball State
Chirp, chirp.
fellow chirper right there. When we come back, one of the big things we're going to be watching is Quentin Nelson and Big Jeff. Well, today, Big Jeff got asked about Quentin Nelson. Big Jeff said some stuff. Like, Big Jeff said things.
Does he need, security card hitman?
Well, I'll be curious to get the hitman's thoughts about what Big Jeff said about Big Jeff facing Quentin Nelson. So let's just do that next on Blaine and Mickey. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. Getting you through a Wednesday. Oh, I like this. Life's been good. Joe Walsh, Lucas. What's gotten into you today, man? You playing the good stuff.
Oh. Yeah, he said he had to have Rhett help him out, picking music because he didn't know what he was doing. So.
I do love walking by the Titans radio studio and hearing Rhett when he's just jamming in there.
Jamming, man. I'd be going in there checking him out.
I can't believe he can hear anything because it's so loud in there.
It's
sometimes.
crazy. He'll be listening to Alan Parsons Project, The Who, the Eagles at full blast.
Yeah. Trying to educate you.
Mm-hmm. Hootie and Blowfish.
I don't know if I've ever heard him listen to the Hootie and the Blowfish. My friend Gary plays banjo, though, for Darius Rucker.
What?
That's awesome.
Yeah. Guy I went to college with at Arkansas State. He played tuba in the marching band. He's like out on the road with Darius Rucker.
He said he did. So does he still today?
He doesn't play tuba anymore. He probably can play any. He's like one of that. He's that dude that embarrasses you because he can play all the instruments better than you can play 'em.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't ever want to see him pick up a bass because I don't want to get smoked at that by him too. But yeah, the dude can play everything. So Gary Murray, very nice guy. Big Jeff is a nice guy, but I don't think he wants to be nice to Quentin Nelson. A lot of audio leaking out from today's player availability, and A to Z Sports Guys had this. Big Jeff asked about facing up with the great Quentin Nelson. This is what Big Jeff said.
I mean, I guess you call it a heavyweight matchup. I guess I look at him like any other offensive lineman. You know, we have to come ready to play each and every Sunday. I know they and everyone around the league, they like him. They live up. They hype him up to be that guy. And you know, apparently that I feel very confident in myself, no matter who I'm facing. But like I said, everyone live up and hype him that he's the best guard in the league. Much respect to him, but he still have to line up and play football when it comes down to it. Which what I'm gonna do Sunday. So I'm not looking forward to these one-on-one battles. It's Tennessee Titans versus the Colts and Tennessee Titans defense versus their offense, which just ran around 28.
Big Jeff did not want to say, I think he's the best. He said, that's what people say. A lot of people talk about him being the best. He still has to play football. Jeff, in this video too, like Jeff's a happy guy, and Jeff looks like a guy who is already got his bag packed for Indy. Like, okay, all right. And I know you've been watching Big Jeff. Like Jeff, it'd be great if Jeff had a real nice day against Quentin Nelson.
Oh, I'm looking for an explosive day.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at. I think he's firmly confident against him based off what he's done in the past and then where he's at in his career right now. So, especially Nelson's probably the highest paid guard in the NFL, I'm assuming. So,
you asked Bremer, their O-line highest paid, right?
Right.
Highest
so
paid
I'm
O-line.
assuming that this is how, elite players start saying, oh, okay, he's the highest paid. Well, I'm going to see where I stack up. Because if I go against this dude and show him what I got, he's going to be like, well, shoot, he can beat him. He can beat anybody. Mm-hmm. This is where you make your name. Really gets these big name dudes right here.
And when you make your name, what else do you make?
Get paid.
Yeah, and guess who's trying to get paid?
Big Jeff.
Large Jeff.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, this is going to be a battle, though. This is just like watching, two wrestlers in there, man. This is going to be, oh, my. Sometimes it's going to be bored and sloppy, tired. They hugging each other like bears. But then somebody's going to take control of it and say, I got you. Mm-hmm. I'm putting my money on Big Jeff.
Well,
I like how he complimented him, but he really didn't.
He kept saying, people say he's, this is what people say, that he's really good.
Well, it's funny.
Not Jeff saying, hey, I watch his tape. He's really good.
What? Well, see, but that's where I was going.
Yeah.
That's okay to say that, though.
Yeah.
Right. It's a Jedi mind trick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's because he is good. Oh, no, he's one of the best I'll face all season. And it's proven on the tape. It's also saying, you better watch out because I'm freaking coming. I know what I'm going against, and I better be bringing it, and I'm going to bring it. He knows what I do. I played this guy twice here. He knows what I am. So you don't have to say that. You just say, they say he's one of the best in the business. Cool. And that maybe that's what he was saying, just in a different way. But, hey, come Sunday, all bets are off. Yeah, you can say that. That's not going to, that ain't like saying I'm going to kick his butt. You don't say that. You respect those who deserve the respect, but you know that you're going to bring your best. So that, I was very complimentary of all the great players. But when we got on that field, man, on this given day, today is not going to be your day. It's going to be my day. I'm sorry. I'm going to win more than I'm going to lose. If I walk off this field, then I'm going to be mad at me.
I bet you just.
Because me is him. Because that's what all these guys keep saying. I am him. Like,
Sure.
what the heck does that mean? I am him.
You love those matchups, though, against
You
the
have
best
to
of the
love
best.
it.
You
You
live
have
for
to
that.
relish. Yeah,
Yes.
you live for it. And I think Jeff, that's what he's trying to communicate. Well, y'all say the best, but we shall see. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you got to live for those, man. You love it. It's like when you get on the field, it's a smile comes to your face. At least it did for me. Like, it's time. It is time. Let's go have some fun. I'm about to show everybody I am him. I saw Diggs say that after the game. I am him. On the sideline, he kept saying that.
The Titans game.
Yeah, and then I saw Jalen Ramsey do the same thing.
Yeah, it's going around.
I was wondering if they were kind of battling. Was they talking to each other since he got Ramsey that first game?
Right, to see who him actually is.
Yeah, I
Which
am
him is him.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see after the.
And he had a T-shirt on. Said, I am him.
After Diggs just went bananas against the Titans, Maryland, University of Maryland, their athletic Twitter account just changed their bio to where Stephon Diggs went to school. And it was just his picture, just him smiling in the picture, like, home of the terror. No, it just said where Stephon Diggs went to school in his picture.
What?
So literally, it was that bad. Did you see it?
Was it their football account or their athletics account? But yes, I did see it.
It may have been their athletics account. And it was basically, all it said was where Stephon Diggs
you
went to
didn't
school.
retweet that?
And his picture. Oh, we'll find it, Lucas.
should have said
Get
he
your
is
dialing
him.
fingers up.
You should have said he is him.
He is him. And he went to school here. All right, we'll come back about 25 minutes away from you guys love Jordan Dejani. He's joining us in about 25 minutes. Come on back. We don't stop. Mickey Ryan, Blaine Bishop, Lucas Panzica. Hour number 2, the nexus of the sports talk universe. Halfway through the week show. It's practically the weekend now.
It
is.
Is that what you believe?
Here's what I believe. Okay. I believe that our boy, our work son, Lucas, actually said yesterday on the air, "Yeah, I'm still sore from the game." Remember? Like, hey, man, you recover from your experience.
Well, he was speaking from a fan point of view because there's a lot of work to walking up those hills.
No, I literally physically sore, yeah.
And he put in there, rest. Rest is part of this whole equation. It just is a lot for a weekend. And then the adrenaline rush that you have
coming
and
down
anxiety that you thought you was about to have when they was making the comeback. So that is tiring. I get it. Yeah, he's been through a lot.
Look at the
him and the
fella.
fan base.
I felt like I ran a 5K on Saturday.
Well, what was your time?
Not good.
All day long. Did you need
most
this
of the fans
bye-week?
feel just like Lucas, though, except happy.
Where are you on all this? Because yesterday we had Ben McKee on, and Ben started talking, and Blake was kind of asking him about, how good could this season be? So then he kind of lays out, you could win 10 games, even if you don't beat Georgia and Alabama, because you had what's considered a couple of the toss-up games. You go to Pittsburgh and you win. And they won ugly, which to me that was huge.
Mm-hmm.
To go and literally after the game say, boy, the defense saved our butts today, which is what was said after the game. Because they didn't go and score all the points they normally. I'm like, man, that's big. Because they could see, we didn't just score a point a minute today, and we still won the darn game. So then Florida comes into town, then all the voodoo dolls start getting poked, and it's like, oh, my gosh, are you kidding me? Then there's an onside kick, and everything happens. But I know, so whoever going to say, well, Billy Napier goes with analytics, I still say he lost track of his mind and his math, and the Vols did enough to win the game. Now you got a whole bye week to just kind of sit and think about things. And this LSU, they're playing at 11 o'clock Central. If I'm a Vol, I love that. I don't want to play them at 7 o'clock at night.
No way.
No way.
Mm-mm. They may not have the student body may not even be there at 11 o'clock Central Time.
And they won't be nearly as oiled up. I mean, how much can you drink before breakfast?
A lot of them will be in bed.
So
still recovering from Friday night.
I think that was huge to get that draw.
The bye week comes at a good time for them, too, because they're banged up. Cedric Tillman still coming off that ankle injury, and Jabari Small played a little bit hurt on Saturday. Hendon Hooker was in and out of the medical tent. So it's going to be good for them to heal up. And you don't have this typical 4-week gauntlet that it feels like Tennessee has every year of playing an LSU and then Alabama. And then you got to play Georgia, and then you got to play your other SEC West opponent. This year, it's so much more divvied up where you have the bye week, then you go to LSU and you host Alabama, then you play UT Martin. And then it kind of picks up with, I'm trying to think of who that next opponent is. I don't have the schedule in front of me. Kentucky, yeah. Kentucky is October 29th. And you play UT Martin October 22nd. Yeah, so you turn around, you host Kentucky, and then it's the Missouris and the South Carolinas, and then you have another cupcake, and then you got Georgia in the second to last game of the year. So it's all kind of divided up to where they can catch a breather at various points throughout the season rather than what has been just a nightmarish October in so many recent years for the Vols where they go 1-3 or something.
Yep, 10-2. I have no doubt. Been saying it since before the season, and I feel like it's the offense. It's the offense. It's hard to prepare for that. I mean, once I saw Bama had trouble, I was like, uh-oh, last year, like this is going to actually work. And then I'm now not seeing really any adjustments weekly by teams who've played them the previous year. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, well, what can you do besides cramping? And those, acting like you got cramps to slow it. No, to slow them down.
We haven't seen that yet this year,
We haven't seen it yet. No, most teams are trying to play through it, and I'm like, whoa, hey, this is about winning strategy. Don't have the pride. Hey, maybe you use it less. Matter of fact, yeah, I saw one kid. He was smiling. It might have been Tennessee kid that cramped, and he was laughing when he walked off because I don't think he was really cramping. I think they had like too many men on the field or not enough. I think it was more so that. So yeah, this is. I think they are right where I thought they'd be. And by the way, LSU is getting better each and every game.
Yeah.
Compared to that first game that they played that everybody watched, it was against Florida State. Who was it?
Yeah, Florida State.
Yeah. So I'm anxious to see where they look after these next 2 weeks. Who do they have this weekend?
It's not even a group of 5. They might have an FCS team this weekend.
They got a Ball Stater.
Something like that. But
No, it's not. It's unless you're just trying to insult Auburn.
oh my goodness, they do have Auburn this weekend.
Oh man!
I thought you were just killing Auburn,
man,
Lucas.
you're supposed to be the crack staff.
Auburn just beat Missouri, Lucas.
I completely forgot they're playing Auburn. I could have sworn they were playing like a southeastern Utah
Auburn.
Tech.
No, dude. They're
Auburn.
playing Southeastern Auburn Tech is who they're playing.
It's on the Plains too. It's a night game, but strange.
Well, see, I like that because then they got that physicality,
Yeah.
and they're gonna be a little, as Lucas would say, a little sore that next week.
Hey, do you know what the spread is in this game? This is
LSU Auburn.
Yes. At Auburn.
LSU's definitely favored. I'm gonna say. Oh, you're shaking your head at me like they're not.
No.
Oh, they are.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say LSU by 10. 10.5.
I'm not a guy, but I'm gonna say
Vegas Bishop here.
LSU by watch it 2.5.
No, 9.
Oh.
Now, Lucas went over, though, so Blaine just won the Showcase Showdown there.
Oh, I finally won some against Lucas.
Lucas went over, but
Dang.
9 points, and this at Auburn.
Yeah, it's on the Plains.
So, 2, 3, and 1 teams, but boy, you talk about Vegas's confidence in one versus the other. I mean, they're trying to get people to bet money, but still, that's a big line.
Auburn has problems at quarterback in that they just don't have one. Their offensive line is absolutely terrible. We talked about it yesterday. Tank Bigsby had 62 yards after contact in the win against Missouri last week. 62 yards after contact. He finished with 44 rush yards.
What?
If that tells you anything about the state of Auburn's offensive line.
Uh-oh. He done.
I mean, he is just fighting off guys in the backfield just to get to the line of scrimmage for some positive yardage.
Yeah.
So LSU.
I saw somebody from Harsin was at Boise State, right?
Harsin was at
Yeah, I saw a
Boise
quarterback
State.
in the portal that started 29 games.
Hank Bachmeier.
See,
That's
and I
right.
was like, this is weird. Why is he doing it right now? He's going to show up at Auburn.
Like you said.
He knows the plays. You know he knows the plays.
Hey, that's
I'm telling you, they having quarterback issues. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
That's a default thing. Like Billy Napier, remember the offensive lineman he brought with him from University of Louisiana Lafayette?
Brought a running back with him, too.
Yeah. Hey, man, these dudes know the plays. I mean, they were 3 stars or 2 stars or whatever. I'm bringing them with me. They know the freaking plays.
It's a sinking ship. It is
But
a
I wouldn't
sinking
go,
ship at
because
Auburn.
unless you got,
Bachmeier's thinking, no,
if
I'm
it's
not
his
playing the
senior year, it's
SEC.
his last year of eligibility, no big deal. But if he's got some years left after this year, oh no,
They just don't have an identity. I don't know what Auburn is.
they better run the football.
And they got pushed around against Penn State at home. Penn State looked
That
like
was
the
horrible.
SEC West team in that game.
I would have lost so much money on that game because I thought Penn State's going to get down there. Because Auburn's fans, they're crazy. It's an I've been to games there. It's an unbelievable atmosphere. You got to park like 6 miles away and walk, even if you're on the campus.
Oh, Lucas might not made it.
You'd be too sore to even
way
make
too
it the
sore.
next day.
He
there.
would have run a 5K though.
Yeah, no,
walk.
it's a
I mean,
freaking
walk.
10K.
I'm curious about Dejani's physical state because I did tailgate with Jordan Dejani on Saturday a little bit.
You've been holding back.
I swung by the tailgate he was at on Saturday. We caught up a little bit.
Oh, so you think he's a little sore
Maybe.
or more awake and attentive?
I don't know.
If I gave you, Lucas, $1,000 of Blaine's money, and I said you have to go and bet right now
Ooh.
how many games regular season, I throw the bowl game out, how many games just do the Tennessee Vols win this season? And you only win if you guess the no over, no under, how many games?
Exactly how many games?
Yeah, because people are starting to say 10 everywhere. 10.
Yeah.
I don't know, 10's not out of the question. 10.
I said 9 before the season because I thought they were dropping one of Pitt or Florida. They escaped Pitt. They beat Florida. I'm going to say 10 because I just don't. I look at the schedule, and even before the season, you looked at Tennessee's entire schedule, and you said, okay, which games just aren't winnable? Mm-hmm. And you said Alabama and Georgia. Those are the only games that just are not winnable. And now you can have a conversation about the Alabama game. especially if those teams are both 5-0 going into Neyland Stadium. And depending on how Alabama looks against Arkansas, we might learn a lot in that game on Saturday. The game's in Fayetteville. So I'm going to stick with 10 because I look down the stretch, and you should go and beat an LSU team that is talented, has a mobile quarterback, but you should win that game. You should be able to outscore that team in year one of Brian Kelly. And then down the stretch, yeah, you have a Kentucky team that's a top 10 team right now, but that game's at home. It's a good matchup for Tennessee as far as their playing styles. I'm going to stick with 10.
Can you believe that you're saying that in year 2 of Josh Heupel?
No,
with what he inherited and a mess and an investigation and Pruitt and McDonald's.
Well, he had players. Maybe they didn't have depth.
Yeah,
but they're frontline guys now. They had players.
He had a decent offensive line situation that he inherited.
I mean,
when 100%.
He did inherit a hooker too.
He inherited Hendon Hooker. He did not recruit Hendon Hooker. He inherited Cedric Tillman, but nobody knew Cedric Tillman was Cedric Tillman. He had like 8 career catches when Heupel took over.
That's crazy.
But to go a year and a half later and be at number 8 in the AP poll, which it's the AP poll, it doesn't mean anything right now. But I mean, Butch Jones never got Tennessee higher than being the number 9 team in the country in 2016. So to be sitting here at 4-0, to be beating Florida in year 2, it is not anywhere close to where people thought this program would be in 2 or maybe even 3 years when he took over.
Y'all need to pour one out for your man Butch. Arkansas State plays Louisiana Monroe this weekend, and Arkansas State to them is kind of like how Florida has been to Tennessee, like just don't lose to them. They need to win. They need to win this game. They need desperately.
Butch Jones.
Butch, please get us a win. I said that very slowly. One time I didn't say Butch.
Oh,
I said something wrong. I messed up. I said it.
You were talking too fast. That's what happened.
I was talking too fast. I said, which, please. Only I didn't say which. And Blake was like, hey, man, I don't think you're supposed to say that.
Yeah.
I said it by accident.
No, this is what it sounded like. I really didn't say that.
Oh, I did. Yeah, and I was like, no, that's not what I said. Did I think that or say it? You and Brent were like, oh, you said it. Let's say this. Jordan Dejani, let's see if he's still sore from his weekend on Rocky Top. The man from CBS Sports that covers the NFL will join us next. Blaine and Mickey, 1045 The Zone, having some good times.
Good time.
If you cannot be happy listening to this song, then you can't be happy.
Yeah, Lucas, like,
Look at
I
it.
don't know. Look,
No, he's happy.
Even Lucas, I saw his head rock a
Oh,
little
no,
bit.
this is right up my alley.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
This is good stuff.
Hey, so we have to, take us through some of Lucas's menu. What are you thinking about cooking today? Because he's an exceptional cook at the household, man. So I'm always interested because I see the food you be cooking, man. I be taking pride like, ooh, I want to taste that.
I'm going to keep it simple tonight. Just some spaghetti.
Listen to him.
I'm going to keep
Some
it simple.
spaghetti. But
Yeah.
what's going to be in it?
I got some cherry tomatoes from the garden behind my house that I'm going to just kind of cook down into a little sauce with some garlic, some basil. Real easy.
Oh,
Just
man.
easy. I'm just going to pick fruit out of, vegetables out of my yard
That
and
he planted.
turn them into sauce when you can just
Man,
buy a
he's
jar of
he's
ragu.
a trifecta, man. He's
Yeah.
not smart, good job, can cook. Man.
He's not available, though,
Yeah,
ladies.
I know
So
your
don't
lady
get-
got it made, man.
Don't get to thinking there's a shot there.
Don't get all
ladies.
excited now.
Do not. Control yourselves, ladies. Also, control yourself because Jordan Dejani jumps in the mix, too. Jordan, are you going to pick tomatoes out of your yard, and are you going to make yourself a nice light
Good
spaghetti
time.
sauce tonight?
Hey, what's going on, guys? No, there's no chance. I barely have grass up in my backyard, so I doubt that's going to happen.
Oh,
I'm not a
is it
professional
yellow?
Cook like Lucas. Say again?
Is your grass yellow?
Yeah, it's a little yellow. I got to get the landscapers back here to make it look okay. But
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
the yard's not looking very good right now. But we're not in the spring, so we're okay at this
Yeah.
juncture.
Yeah, Lucas said you brought some of your grass to the tailgate, man. Is that true or not, man? I'm just asking, just for a friend, man. I'm just saying. I'm just
That
wondering.
could mean something altogether different.
There was no grass involved. There was some alcoholic beverages. No doubt.
okay.
But yeah, it was a great weekend out there on Rocky Top. Great seeing Lucas. It was a nice reunion, seeing a bunch of old college buddies. It was a magnificent weekend.
How many games do you think the Vols are going to win? Because your man Lucas has already convinced himself 10 is the number.
He stole that number from me. I said it first, Lucas.
Yes.
You know I said that.
Yeah, you've been saying it.
It's a good question, man. And honestly, unbiasedly, I think I am leaning towards 10.
Yeah.
I will say I didn't think the Vols had the best performance against Florida. They got some issues in the secondary, just like the other football team in Nashville by the name of the Tennessee Titans. So I'm keeping an eye on that. But against, Kentucky's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, I'm kind of chalking up losses to Georgia and Alabama, although I hope they're entertaining matchups. But I'm leaning towards 10 wins right now as well.
Is Lamar Jackson, let's switch to NFL talk. Jordan Dejani, our guest, CBS Sports covering the NFL. Is Lamar Jackson your MVP right now, or Josh Allen, or Tua, or Jalen Hurts, or who are you leaning right now?
Man, we need to credit Blaine right here and right now because he was talking about Lamar Jackson last week, and he's somebody who obviously has been getting some money for MVP, but he had another magnificent game against the Patriots on Sunday. I think he threw 4 touchdown passes, rushed for over 100 yards and another touchdown. It's interesting because he's off to a better start than when he won the MVP unanimously a few years ago. And I feel like now the national media is just starting to talk about it more. He's been incredible. The Ravens have quickly become one of my favorite teams to watch film on from what they do offensively on the ground and also with how they scheme in the pass game with their new look wide receiving core. And obviously Mark Andrews is a star. Lamar Jackson, in my mind, should be the front runner. But right now over at Caesars Sportsbook, he has 3 guys ahead of him: Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and, of course, Jalen Hurts of the Philadelphia Eagles.
There you go. Jordan Dejani, our guest, bringing it like he does every Wednesday on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, Jordan, this is kind of a broader question, but give me some snippets of this past weekend of what caught your attention.
Ooh, that's a great question. How about let's start with the Buffalo Bills. I thought that the Bills game against the Dolphins was incredibly entertaining for multiple reasons, right? It's interesting because the Bills are now 0-7 in games decided by 1 score, while they're 14-1 in all other games. And they dominated the box score, right? 16 more first downs than the Dolphins, 285 more total yards. They possessed the ball for over 40 minutes and ran 90 offensive plays, but they still lost. I think that's something to keep in mind when we're talking about this Bills team as prospective Super Bowl champions. They haven't been that good when games have been close in the fourth quarter, so I think that's going to be interesting to watch. The other thing that really stuck out to me, how about these Philadelphia Eagles? I mean, there's a reason that they are topping some of the power rankings as we enter Week 4. This is their first 3-0 start since 2016. They had 9 sacks against Washington after recording just 3 sacks in the first 2 games of the season. Jalen Hurts had 3 passing touchdowns in the first half, and that matched a career high, and he did it in one half of football. The Philly's the best team in the first half of any of all games through the NFL season through 3 weeks. I'm very intrigued by this Eagles team, but I'm more intrigued by their defense. The headline's obviously going to be the quarterback and A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. I get that. But this defense is going to be a top 5 unit, in my opinion. I think that they're going to be the strong backbone for what is going to be a very good team in 2022.
Man, sounds like you got them already written to the Super Bowl there because they are playing exceptional. Man, that's unbelievable when you watch the Eagles. And as well as Jackson, I think he had some record of some back-to-back games record by an NFL player, 390 yards passing and 100 yards or over rushing back-to-back games. And he's the first player to do that in Super Bowl era. Is that true?
I think something like that. I'm looking at my notes now, and it seems like he's broken 100 records through the first 3 weeks of the season in terms of a dynamic dual-threat quarterback that's doing so much with his legs and his arm. I mean, he's truly been the MVP up to this point.
No doubt about it. We're on with Jordan Dejani, NFL writer for CBS Sports. Have to get into Cooper Rush and the job he's doing there for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Sometimes when you're vet sitting on the sidelines, maybe, you see that maybe managing the clock is not so bad when you're standing on the side when you're throwing a lot more. Do you think this will change how Dak and the Cowboys approach playing Dak maybe not sooner but later, and then when he comes back a little more conservative?
100%. And that's a great point by you because I think that's the headline thus far. This is good for the Cowboys, not because they're winning games with their backup quarterback, but because they're going to be less inclined to rush back Dak Prescott. And I think that was everyone's worry when he went down with that injury in the season opener, right? There's going to be the story of Russell Wilson from last year. They're going to rush him back. He's not going to look as good, and it's going to tank the Cowboys, and Mike McCarthy's going to get fired. That's the narrative that we all had written down. But it doesn't look like that's going to happen now, and that's good for the Cowboys. I think that Cooper Rush has been very solid as a game manager. I think he's been accurate. I think he's taking care of the ball. He's not taking away significantly from what the Cowboys want to do on offense. They're still relying on their running backs, and they're finding success doing so. So I want to see what he looks like moving forward. He has an interesting matchup against the Commanders. Could be somewhat of a trap game, but the Cowboys look really solid right now, and I think this is really good for Dak Prescott because I think it truly does heighten their ceiling for what their goals are in 2022.
Well, as much as they look really good, Russell Wilson and the Broncos' offensive struggles is, Wilson, Hackett, the head coach, as well as the OC. I don't even know who that is, really. It just seems like they're not on the same page. There's some bad chemistry going on here. What do you see when you see the offense of the Broncos?
It is totally inconsistent. And a lot of people have been asking me over the past couple of days, like, what's the ceiling for this Broncos team? And I have no idea. I mean, I think they had 9 3-and-outs, which was the most in a game in Russell Wilson's career. What really stood out to me was he's not pushing the ball down the field. And I can't make heads or tails if that's the game plan, the play calling, if that's Russell Wilson being hesitant in this new offense. But at the same time, this new offense was completely built around him and with him being a chef in the kitchen as well. So I'm not sure what the problem is right now. They're not pushing the ball down the field, and they've been incredibly inconsistent. And you obviously have to chalk up some of the blame, or most of the blame, I should say, with first-year head coach Nathaniel Hackett. But this Broncos team had high expectations coming into this year, not to win an 11-10 game versus the 49ers in front of their home fans, who spent the majority of that night booing their own team. So the Broncos are certainly a team that we're going to have eyes on moving forward because they have all the pieces they need on offense to be successful, but they just haven't found the right recipe yet.
No doubt about it. We're on with Jordan Dejani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Hey, how about in the same week we get a butt punt and we get the Orlovsky play from Jimmy G? Like there had been one butt play and one run out of bounds like that prominent in the NFL. Both of those guys kind of get Sanchez and Orlovsky kind of get replaced this week.
It's been unbelievable, man. And in fact, I'm doing this new column for CBSSports.com that's published every Monday morning. The 5 wildest things that I saw on NFL Sunday. And, of course, all those made the list. There was also a drone that got the Seahawks game paused versus the Falcons, which was fascinating in itself. we were seeing some wild plays, and I love Thomas Morstead, the Dolphins punter. He's one of my favorite interviews, one of my favorite guys in the NFL. He was obviously upset after that. His personal protector getting too far back in the end zone when they're working with limited space. That was unbelievable.
Well, you can throw that in with the guy from Kansas City who said something so egregious, Chris Jones, like for talking that they extended the drive that the Colts later went on to win the game. What in the world did that dude say?
That was unbelievable. I think that's one of the headlines of last week as well, because as you mentioned, the Colts really had no business winning that game. I think they had under 200 yards of total offense before as they entered that prospective game-winning drive. And as you mentioned, that sack or that tackle, whatever it was, on that pivotal third down, the game was about to be over, and then Chris Jones says something. It must have been pretty bad for the refs to throw a flag, and the refs, as you saw, were standing right there if you look at the replay. I wonder if they're ever going to release it. There's been some talk on social media, Chris Jones saying, he tweeted the cap emoji saying that, what he said wasn't as bad and as egregious. So I don't know if we're going to find the truth behind that. I kind of hope that he just looked at Matt Ryan and called him too old to play, and then Matt Ryan just let a game-winning drive in his face and led the upset victory.
Jordan Dejani, our guest on Blaine and Mickey, at Jordan Dejani on Twitter, CBS Sports.
Well, Jordan, I guess from your overview of all the NFL games, do you feel like there's been more injuries early on in this season than normal, or has this kind of been this way the last 3 or 4 years?
Yeah, I feel like this is a subject that we've talked about before, and we're going to continue to talk about it because I don't think it's a one-time trend. You know what I mean? I think that it's something that is going to be a legitimate trend. We're seeing a lot of these athletes go down with severe season-ending injuries, and we saw what happened with Sterling Shepard and his torn ACL on that turf on Monday night against the Cowboys. That was one of those freak injuries where he wasn't even doing anything. He was kind of slowing down from what was almost a jog, and all of a sudden his entire year is lost. And I feel like this is definitely a subject between the NFL and NFLPA behind closed doors because we're seeing a lot of these big-time injuries happen, and we're not exactly sure why. And we just saw that Joey Bosa is going to miss significant time with his groin injury. Christian McCaffrey's now reportedly dealing with an injury that maybe could cost him a couple of games. We're seeing a lot of injuries around the NFL. There's no doubt about it.
With somebody who's not injured, but it looked like he was going to injure somebody, and that was Dorsey, John Dorsey up here in the booth, man. That's his name, right? Yeah, he used to. Oh, Ken Dorsey. Yeah, Ken Dorsey is his name. Yeah, man. I mean, did that go viral after they ran out of time there in the Bills' offensive, I guess, misstep there?
Yeah, I can totally understand why he was upset too, because the Bills, they messed up the clock at the end of the first half when they could have scored points, and then, of course, at the end, they should have won that game. So there was definitely some big-time miscommunication on the Bills' offense. And that's why I threw out that stat in terms of how bad they've been in those one-score games. They're usually losing those matchups. And that's why Ken Dorsey was so mad. It seems like he was almost a little bit embarrassed of it. And I was thinking, man, he doesn't need to be embarrassed about it. That's his job. He's obviously very passionate about what he's doing. I'd be doing the same exact thing if I was a play caller up in the press box.
Oh, my. So speaking of that, did you do that when they got the onside kick for Florida? Were you throwing and banging stuff at that time?
Woo, man! Yeah, I get like PTSD right now at this point. I was a little nervous. Everyone around me was much more nervous when that happened. I still had the faith that Tennessee was going to win that game, but everyone was saying, "Not again, not again." Of course, same old thing, year after year. I did get a little bit scared, but I was still confident, right? I was still confident, but yeah, I almost started throwing stuff in the stands. No doubt about it.
Well, speaking of confidence, the Dolphins are 3-0. They look pretty confident, but I'm not sure if Tua's going to be out there, man. I mean, how did you view his head injury / head?
I'm glad you brought this up because after the games went final Sunday, I was looking at the Thursday night game, and I go, this might be an interesting time to take the Bengals at home on a short week. I was shocked that Vegas agreed with me. The Bengals opened up as favorites, and now it's climbed all the way to 4 points, I believe. But Tua Tagovailoa is going to play. That at least is what I'm thinking. It's not official just yet, but I believe he's going to play. But he's dealing with a couple of different injuries. I think one is his ankle. I may be mistaken on that. But then there's been this whole controversy around his concussion protocol, his head injury, his /back injury. And I'm sure you guys saw the replay. When Tua went down and he got up and was all loopy, right? He was tripping over himself. That looked like a head injury to me. But the Dolphins tried to classify it as something with his back, some kind of nerve, whatever it was, pinched nerve. I'm not exactly sure. It didn't look like that to me. But when I heard Mike McDaniel talk on Monday, I sort of walked away kind of believing him that it was related to his back. I know that there's an investigation going on with the NFL and the NFLPA, so they're going to get to the bottom of it. But the bottom line is that Tua is definitely dealing with a couple of injuries, so be careful betting that Thursday night game.
I guess lastly for me, give us the 411 on the Chiefs and the Colts game, because I watched a little bit of that and I was like, man, I'm still not feeling like that the Colts should have won that game. They got a lot of breaks there, man. What is your overall observation of the Colts to this point in the season?
I would say inconsistent. I can't even say that they necessarily played good against the Chiefs. And I lost money on that game. And as I said, the Chiefs definitely should have not lost that game. I mean, I will say that the Colts, their run defense looks good.
Yeah,
and according to the stats right now, they have the third best run defense. They're averaging 77 ground yards allowed per game, I believe. That's something that I'm sure you guys will be discussing when it comes to this matchup this weekend against Derrick Henry. But you know what? Matt Ryan hasn't done incredibly well under pressure. The offense isn't exactly humming. The Titans are the better team. But here's the thing I'm thinking about, and this is my X factor for Sunday. What if Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor both get bottled up? It's going to come down to which team can pass the ball better. I think the Titans' passing attack is better than the Colts, but here's the thing. I like the Colts cornerbacks more than I like the Titans cornerbacks. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup come Sunday.
There you have it. Jordan Dejani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
So you're not ready to become a Derrick Henry receiving total over Stan account just yet on a weekly basis?
I'm glad you brought this up because I definitely am totally ready to do that. What was it? Derrick Henry, it was like his third, one of his best receiving performances of his career, 5 catches for 58 yards. He had 0 catches in the first 2 weeks. And I was all high on this because I love betting the Derrick Henry receiving props. I thought we could find some value on it last year at the beginning of the year, but his usage kind of tapered off as we approached the middle of the regular season. So keep an eye on that line. When they release player props in the next couple of days on whatever sports book you use, hopefully it's Caesars, but Derrick Henry on his receiving yards and his receptions. I'm sure I'll be tweeting out some picks if I identify some value with those lines.
All right. Were you ready for this after 3 weeks? Joe Flacco, top 5 in passing yards. Maybe he is. Maybe he is elite, Jordan, and he's just showing the world once again that he is.
Yeah, Joe Flacco's the lead. And unfortunately, here comes Zach Wilson back to the starting lineup. I guess the Jets are no longer going to be a top 10 offense. That's right. They're a top 10 offense right now, according to the stats. Zach Wilson is a guy a lot of eyes are going to be on, and he's obviously thrown a lot of interceptions. It's going to be interesting to see how healthy he really looks. But Joe Flacco was kind of okay through those first few weeks of the regular season. How about a quarterback controversy in New York?
Bring it on. And we'll be talking about it with Jordan Dejani because he joins us this same time. Same day every week. Jordan, fantastic stuff. At Jordan Dejani on Twitter, you can wait for his Derrick Henry receiving prop recommendations, or just go to cbssports.com and check out Jordan and all his fellow writers. Fantastic stuff there as they cover the NFL. Thank you, sir.
I love it. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Jordan Dejani. All right, when we come back, Titans have been making all these player moves, and let's get into some of these, including a guy who I think was brought in to do a thing that we're going to do. And Lucas is in my ear saying, give something away. So here's what I'm going to give away.
Sherbert?
Hockey. I would smash some sherbet. Oh, people have to keep listening, says Lucas. It's a tease. If you come back, you can win Predators tickets, but you have to come Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone. When Lucas says give stuff away, we give stuff away, and we got good stuff. Hockey is back, Smashville. I hope you are ready. Are you ready? Be caller 5 now to win tickets to opening night at Bridgestone Arena as the Preds host Dallas. That's October 13th. That will be here before you know it. 615-737-1045. I know you want those tickets. Don't miss out on the 5 home games scheduled during the month of October. Season and single game tickets available now. NashvillePredators.com/tickets. Get those rascals. I mean, missing these games. Get yourself down there. Speaking of missing games, practice report. This is from our man TD, Teron Davenport. Practice update for Wednesday ahead of the Colts. He says, no sign of Traylon Burks. Zach Cunningham, who blew up one of those, throw it to this guy who throws it back to that guy. He throws, like the second time they did that, he was like a bowling ball and hit everybody, and he got hurt.
Yeah, it was elbow or a wrist or something. I couldn't tell you the way he was walking off.
Burks, Zach Cunningham, Hooker. Austin Hooper, he said, worked on a side field. Used to, we couldn't say anything about the side fields, but I guess side fields you can say, like Hooper was over there. TD says Bud Dupree, Ugo Amadi returned, but Amadi did not take part in the individual period, he says. Ola and Kyle Phillips were in yellow jerseys, mean practice, but like yellow jersey means don't touch these dudes. So that's no sign of – boy, I'd have Traylon Burks like, hey, man, you want to borrow Blaine's battery-powered stem machines? You need a cold tub delivered to your house? Like, what can we do? Zach Cunningham.
Did his feelings get hurt when he dropped that ball?
Boy.
Is that what happened?
He jumped awful hard at a ball I don't think he needed to jump for.
Or is he?
At least
is he getting a rest day?
I guess we'll find out tomorrow. He's awful young to get a rest day. Awful young.
Hey, hey man. Hey, I wouldn't be surprised. Or he could be a little nicked up, and they just saying let's be safe and don't practice. But I mean, I would have had him out there in a yellow jersey, but he wasn't out there at all.
Says no practice. No sign of Traylon Burks, Zach Cunningham, Amani Hooker.
Man. What if Vrabel be messing with us, man? Do you remember seeing any time that it looked like Burks got injured?
Not Sunday.
Not Sunday. Exactly.
I mean,
that's why I said rest day. As bad as that sounded, as a young player, rookie player, I'm like, well, he did play more snaps than he ever played.
In Buffalo, he got up, was kind of shaking something off.
Yeah, he had like an ankle or knee. He slipped.
All the attention was on Dane Jackson because it was on that same play. But he was fine on Sunday. So I don't know.
Maybe there's a continuation of that. He's just trying to make sure he get him right, get him tight.
Maybe so. He needs to be both right and tight because the Colts have been stopping the run. So you need people who can do maybe other things and help with other things and be threats down the field to attract attention away from people who would want to put themselves in the box and try to stop Derrick Henry. So Titans have been super busy this week. Well, if this turns into a copy of last season, where every week we're like, okay, let's try to figure out, okay, this guy's here, but this guy's not. This guy's hurt. This guy's – okay. We're getting to that territory.
Oh,
this is a fourth game.
We already started with Landry and then Dupree. It just started.
So
the defense ain't been right since.
The Chargers are facing an injury avalanche right now. Bosa going on IR.
Mother, yeah. So the Titans cut Derek Tuska. We hardly knew you on Monday. They signed Mario Edwards, not the old Mario Edwards, but his son. Not little Mario, but big Mario, big little Mario. They signed him from Jacksonville's practice squad. So then Tuesday, they signed that solo Raven Clark to the active roster. He's an offensive lineman from the Eagles practice squad. So then they also, this was yesterday, and it's not 3 o'clock. I mean, it'll be 3 o'clock in 8 minutes or 9, and then they'll say what else they did today because I bet they do something every day.
They have to.
So yesterday they signed Joe Schobert to the practice squad. This dude made the Pro Bowl in 2017 and always has like 100, and he averages like 120 tackles.
That's the linebacker from the Jaguars?
Yep. And the Browns and the Steelers, he's bounced. But yes, 1 year with the Jags. So Jerry Green, the outside linebacker, was released. I couldn't pick that guy out of a police lineup right now with you and Lucas being some of the other people in it.
I'll join the club.
So I don't even know anything about that. Joe Schobert, though, is a tackling machine. So if you see Zach Cunningham like, he don't look right, and then he's not practicing, there's just a dude sitting at home who's averaged 124 tackles a year or whatever, I might be like, hey, we got to kick the tires on this dude.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I mean, how quick he can pick up the scheme in middle linebacker. And he's kind of the same kind of player, just probably not as athletic as Cunningham, but he's kind of more of a run stopper, right?
Has been.
Well, he can.
He had like 1 year where he graded real. I got rabbit holing on him. He had 1 year really good against the pass, but sometimes he has struggled in pass coverage, I guess, since then.
No, that's a good pickup then. Guy with some experience.
He made a freaking Pro Bowl in 20. I know 2017 was a long time ago, but this guy has a lot of tackles, and at one point was a kind of a top. I mean, you're a top line player if you make.
Well, I mean, if you start in this league, you're pretty freaking good.
Yeah.
So hey, that was a good find there, as well as the offensive tackle too.
Yeah, LaRaven. That's so LaRaven Clark, who has several starts. It's been a minute, I think, since he started, but I think I heard Buck and Lucas talking about this. He came in to a game for the Colts against the Titans a couple of years ago, and I think Harold Landry gave him nightmares for a little bit.
Yeah, 16 career starts.
Okay.
Yeah, played in over 50 career games. He's played guard, played left tackle, played right tackle.
Blaine has said this many times, though.
What?
This team just evaluating dudes, just like, okay, there's 17 dudes. Get that one. And that dude would come in and play like 2 weeks and start a game and be a serviceable player. Mm-hmm. That's how they won all the freaking games last year.
Yeah, they did. So this is kind of
here we go. These guys
specialty here in JR and filling gaps. But man, some of these Bud Dupree and Landry out, man. That's just we gotta get them. Hopefully Dupree, man, we gotta get some rush.
Boy,
if not, we're gonna make Matty Ice look like he MVP Matty Ice. I'm telling you, they gotta get pressure on this cat.
They got.
Or we gonna be saying meow.
Hey, we do need to say this.
Crap.
Good thing reminded me too, Hitman.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody down in Florida, everybody affected by the hurricane, thinking about you. It looks terrifying down there right now. Check on your people who are down there, praying for you, thinking about you, sending
all
the love, and it looks really scary down there. So everybody, please be safe.
So in the meantime, and as always, even in Florida, peace.